says I'm live on my phone, but this is taking forever to set up. So, all right, there we go. All right, so we should be live. Let me. All right, make sure my sound is good. Can you guys all hear me? There we go. All right, lots joining all at once. Stick around to the end, and I will be doing a drawing. I don't know if I'll be doing a drawing, but I will be doing a giveaway. How's that? I'll be doing a giveaway for 2 Starbucks gift cards that you can use while you're out shopping for Christmas or whatever you're doing. Okay, so I have a confession. I already got all of the Christmas presents and they're all coming in the mail because I just did Amazon because that's the way I roll now. And I kept things very simple, which we're going to be talking a little bit about today. Keeping things simple at Christmas and basically how to provide a good Christmas without making your children into little greedy Grinches. Which, if you have not seen my review on the Grinch meal, it's on my Facebook. And yes, I did really, really like the Grinch meal. And it is, I have seen people referring to it as a grown-up Happy Meal. And I agree. I think it's kind of like a grown-up Happy Meal, but I am determined to get all 4 colors of socks. My husband getting the Grinch meal, me getting the Grinch meal. We have 3 pairs, 3 colors. I only have 1 more color to get. So excited about that. I don't know how I'm going to do the giveaway yet when it comes to the 2 gift cards, but I might refer back to one of the questions that I asked earlier. And then whoever quickly answers it the first, whoever quickly answers it will get the gift card. I don't know. We'll see. But okay, is the sound okay? Because my microphone was kind of giving me a little bit of fits earlier when I was testing it, and then I had to unplug it and plug it back in. I'll try not to bump it, and I think that might be part of the problem. This microphone is very sensitive, and so it picks up everything, picks up every little sound. So I think we have green. What did it do? Why is it being weird on me? Let me see. Okay. Well, now the input volume is all the way up to the top. So I don't know if that's part of the problem. Everything looks good. Well, just tell me if it gets weird again. I might have to switch to the webcam microphone, which I really don't want to do because it's not as good as this fancy one. Let me see. Does it sound weird when I pick it up and put it down? It just might be that it's super sensitive. So that might be part of the problem. All right. But today I am going to talk about creating a simple Christmas. So we have never been wealthy. My family and I have never been wealthy. My husband and I have never had a lot of money. However, we've always wanted to have special days for our children and create special memories that they would take with them forever. So birthdays are always a big deal around the McMurtry home. And, Christmas is a big deal too. But I never wanted to raise children who it was all about consuming at Christmas, right? We live in such a consumer laden world that I did not want to raise spoiled, entitled children. So I've always tried to teach them the important meaning of Christmas, and it's behind, Jesus's birth and celebrating him coming to earth for us and, all that good stuff. So how are some ways that we've created memorable Christmases without creating greedy monsters in the process? So one of the things that we've always done from the time that we were first married, actually from the time that we read Dave Ramsey's book. So Dave Ramsey always says, Christmas comes the same day every year. It's coming. It's not going to be a surprise. And he is very, very big on budgeting. So from the time that we started reading his book, we started budgeting. we fell into the trap of when we were first married. The first couple of years, we got into debt, and we were like, we have a credit card now. Let's go buy what we want, whatever. And it was just a big mistake. Now, it wasn't a ton of debt. It was only a few $1,000s. But when you're only making $35,000 a year, which is what we made when we were first married, I know now I'm like, how did we even do that? But we only made 35,000 a year when we were first married. So when you're only making that much, and you're in $3,000 in debt, that's not very good. So off of we paid off all of our debt. And then that's when we decided to start having different funds for things, right? So we had our emergency fund, which the base of that, it's so staticky in here. Oof. The base of your emergency fund is like $500, and then 1,000, and then ideally a whole month's living expenses if you were ever to lose a job for a month or whatever. So we got our emergency fund in place, and then we also started setting aside money for Christmas. Now, when we were younger, this was when we had little kids, this was about $1,000 for the Christmas season. Now it's a little more than that, but it's not over 2,000. Like 2,000 is the max. We don't spend any more than that. So before we got anything like a Christmas bonus from the church, we would every year when we got our tax return. Now, when we had younger kids and we were only making $35,000, we fell in that very low tax bracket. So we actually would get more back on our return than we had paid in. Now we pay in more because my husband makes a little more and we're out of that lowest tax bracket. So we would actually get back more just because of all of our child tax credits and everything than we had paid in. So we would take that Christmas money and we would put it in a savings account and we would save it. And remember, we're getting our taxes back in like April, March or April is when you get your return. So you have to save it. So it does take a little bit of self-discipline, but because we had an emergency fund in place for emergencies that happened, a washer breaks down, a car breaks down, you have to get it fixed, whatever it may be, because we had that emergency fund already in place, we went years without ever touching the Christmas money, which was really nice. The one year that we started the church, and we did have to dip into savings a little more. We had all of our debt paid off. And we were going to have to dip into our savings or use the credit card for Christmas that year. But we had gone to a church. It was actually Park Meadows Church, Baptist Church in Lincoln, Illinois. And we had gone there, and the Lord laid it on the pastor's heart to take care of our Christmas. And the amount of love offering that they gave us was the exact amount that we had always saved. And that year we had to use it because we were starting the church. And so that was one of the things I really saw, like God's hand working when we were just starting the church. That was just another sign of his blessing for starting the church. And so that year we had that we were able to use on the kids for Christmas. But we've always budgeted because you always know that December 25th is coming. So definitely plan for it throughout the year. And then, just kind of keep that in mind. So every birthday, we've had a set amount. We also budget for birthdays throughout the year. And obviously there are 10 of us. So that's a lot of birthdays. Now, most of them hit November through May is our last birthday. We have no summer birthdays at all and barely any fall until the end of November. So because of that, it can really, if you're not prepared, it can really blindside you, when you have all these extra expenses. Now, the birthday budget's not big either. And I'll go ahead and tell you what it is because it's, I'm not ashamed or embarrassed about it, but it's only about $125 per kid for birthday. And that includes my husband and I too. We have about that much budgeted, but that's enough for a few gifts, a cake, and then we always take our kids out on a birthday date as well. So usually with the older kids, it's my husband and I that take them out. With the younger girls, it's just a daddy-daughter date. And so that's kind of a special time that they have. But we have a set amount for Christmas as well. This year I told the kids, I said, things are always tight, even with a Christmas bonus in December. And so I told the kids, I said, we're going to keep it very simple this year. And I think communication is another big thing with your children. You want to get Christmas that's exciting, right? But at the end, I'm going to go over a list of things you can do for next to nothing with your kids to make Christmas a very special time for them. But I told my kids, I said, you're getting 3 gifts. And I kind of like the rule Like something to wear, something for fun, and then something to read. You could do something like that where you do simple gift ideas like that. But I kept it very simple for my married kids. I wanted to do something. I'm not going to say what it is live in case any of them watch, but I did the same thing for my married kids, and it's unique to each couple. So it's not a lot of money, it's not something that's a lot of money, but it's something that I tried to put a little thought into, and then just have it unique to each couple. So we have a set amount for each child. This year, I kept it very simple, and I just did a few gifts per kid. I think I just shared this reel on my Facebook. It's like we sit there and we think we're not doing enough, and we're not being enough, and we're not getting them enough. But then when Christmas comes and you're watching them open the gifts that they do get, I feel like if you have 5, 6, 7 gifts, it's just overwhelming. And at the point they're just ripping off the paper, waiting to see what the next thing is. And it just kind of creates this frenzy in them. When they know that they only have a couple things, I feel like they're going to slow down and just enjoy the process a little bit more than seeing 10 gifts per kid under the tree, right? So, and when I told my kids, I was very proud of them because they were fine with it. They were like, okay, they were fine with it. There was no complaining, there was no crying about it. They were fine with it. And even the babies, they were like, okay, that's great. And so I was really glad to see their response when I told them that this year, emphasize the fact that it's not about presents. And for our family, Christmas is a season. It's not just a day. So we do have a lot of things that we do. And I'm going to kind of be going over some of those at the end, but it's a fun time for my kids. It's not just about that one day where they're getting hordes of gifts. Okay, that's not what we do with our family. We celebrate it the whole 3 weeks, 4 weeks leading up to Christmas. I would emphasize something that's unique to each child, really get to know your kids well. I am not the greatest gift giver. I will say though, when it comes to my family, I do better in this area because I know my kids so well. I know my husband so well. I know what they'll like. I know what they don't like. And so I do okay when it comes to getting gifts. I am the primary gift giver. It's my husband provides the money and I am the one that makes it happen. Us moms, we need to give ourselves a pat on the back when it comes to Christmas traditions and things, because we are the life force behind creating the memories. And I know if I was not here, it would probably fall on Abby, actually, as the eldest daughter. But if I was not here, someone else would have to make the magic happen because our husbands are busy working and providing. And, they're not the heart and the soul behind all the Christmas memories. So it's us moms that make the magic happen. And handmade gifts. You do handmade gifts. I got to glimpse what my daughter-in-law is doing for homemade gifts for her siblings. And it is such a cute idea. I love it. I wish I was artsy and craftsy like her, but something like what she is doing for her siblings, I would adore that. I would love that. So if you're able to embroider, if you're able to knit, if you're able to, I know Amanda, you make like these really cool wall hangings, if you're able to do something like that, I would encourage, I love stuff like that. I feel like we should get back to handmade gifts. One of the best gifts that my friend Nicole could give me is her homemade sugar cookies, because anyone that knows me knows that sugar cookies are my weakness, and pickles too, I guess. But if I'm going to eat a sweet, sugar cookies. And Nicole makes the most amazing homemade sugar cookies because she like makes her own frosting and like uses all organic, ingredients. And I'm telling you, it makes a difference. So homemade sugar cookies, I love that for a gift. I love handmade things because it shows that someone was thinking about you and they know what you like and they're providing that. So I love handmade, providing memories instead of gifts. And this is part of where I got part of my Christmas idea from. Actually, from you guys on Facebook. I just put out a question there. Like, I'm sick of buying just junk toys that break after a day. give me some ideas. And then a lot of you gave me some great ideas. And I actually based a lot of my Christmas presents for my kids off of those ideas. So thank you, whoever gave input for that. I did use some of them. I really wanted to this year try to come up with a way where we took our Christmas bonus and we went to Branson and we did Sight and Sounds. But when I looked it up even 2 months ago, they were almost sold out. Like their Christmas show, it's not even a Christmas show this year. I think it might be David, maybe. I think they're showing David, but it was completely almost booked out. And tickets are really expensive this time of year too. So plus that with planning everything with the kids' work schedules, it just wasn't feasible this year. But someday I want to make that happen. I want to get a cabin and I just want to do like Sight and Sounds and just be together and eat food. And that's what I want to do for Christmas. Also, I do think that when kids are younger, they do like having gifts to open. So I don't want to take away that specialness of the Christmas season for the babies, but the older kids were totally fine with it. They were like, yeah, let's do it. If we could have arranged it, it would have been perfect, but we just couldn't figure out a way to arrange it this year. But I know a big one for me and, other parents is create good memories for your kids when it comes to Christmas. Christmas is a very magical season. And it's not all about the gifts. It's about creating a cozy atmosphere at home. It's about just the sights and the sounds and the smells and everything that goes along with it and the excitement in the air and the decorations. And it's just a whole thing, right? So, do traditions. I think one of the best things that we can do and be is just be present for our children. They're going to remember that, years into the future, just being there for them, being present for them, creating a cozy atmosphere for Christmas, having a peaceful home, have Christmas carols playing and have the lights lit and have cozy candles going and a fire going, if that's your thing, so I think that is going to be something that really sticks with your kids when it comes to creating. Yes, I also aspire to be very mellow and content during holiday activities so that they don't remember me stressed. I have not been perfect. I'm a lot better now than I used to as a young mom. But I like the way we've kept things very simple this year. I don't know if anyone from my church has even noticed, but like even with the church stuff, we have 2 activities planned. We have Christmas dinner this Saturday, and we have a Christmas thing for the ladies at the Hauser's house. That's it. So that is the extent of our plans. And I came to the realization years ago when I would head up a whole Christmas program for the kids. And maybe people out of my church would be like, why don't we do that anymore? Because I was so stressed out with trying to get kids to remember their lines, doing all these Christmas play practices. It just consumed my entire life for the 3 weeks before Christmas. And finally, after 1 year, it went great. And we would rent out Woodlawn Arts Academy and we put on this big production. And it was really cool once it was done. But the last time we did it, my husband was just like, I don't think we're going to do this anymore because it just stresses you out too much. And it does. It stressed me out too much. And I want to enjoy the whole season too. So we have not done it since that year, and I'm fine with that. And I hope everyone here is fine with that too. We have our annual Singspiration, which we had last night, and it's very informal, but it's so cute. And you get the same feelings as the big Christmas play that we spend weeks and weeks and weeks working on. So we have simplified things at our church throughout the years. We have found that when it came to a lot of things, especially when we were first started, it was going to be our family doing it. It was going to be our family heading it up because when we were smaller, we had to do all the specials. I had to head up any type of music program, and it was just really stressful. So we had to simplify it as a way to preserve my sanity. And so also I could enjoy the holiday festivities as well. So we've very simplified things. I know a lot of churches literally like every Friday, every Saturday is booked, like starting the first week in December until Christmas. And I didn't want for our church members to feel pressured into like never having weekend plans and then having to go to all these things and not even being able to enjoy the season. So I didn't want that for them. So we've kept it very, very simple throughout the years, especially the last few years. And I think that's a good thing. I don't know. Um, Maybe people will say that's just like slacking, but I am, as a mom of young kids myself still, I remember having to bundle up all the kids and get in the car and drive places and be here and be there and be everywhere. And it's just not, it's not cozy. It's not enjoyable. It's very stressful. And, I don't want that for all the families in our church because we have a lot of little kids here. So another thing that you can create a simple Christmas, or a way that you can create a simple Christmas, is just by creating a spirit of thankfulness throughout the year, and just not at Christmas, because that's going to carry over into Christmas time. When it comes to your kids, they don't need everything that they want. Don't don't give them everything that they want. That's going to create spoiled, entitled kids. You know, um with our own children, we'll stop things if we notice unthankfulness. So we noticed, I don't know, a few months ago that every single time we went to town, like every time, the kids expected to go to Casey's. Here in the Midwest, Casey's is the big thing, right? Between our two towns, I think we have one, two, three, four, five. I think Casey's, 4 or 5 Casey's between the two towns. So Casey's are just everywhere in the Midwest. And my kids had gotten to the point where they just expected it. And I'm like, this is not cool. Like, this going to Casey's should be like this treat. It shouldn't be this expected thing every time we drive into town. So we told them, we have a word in our house called banned. You're banned from doing this. So we said, you're banned from Casey's for like a month, is what we said. And we found that in that month, and my kids know that once we say you're banned from something, so you're banned from watching TV, you're banned from, whatever it is. We don't really have iPads anymore in our house. We have 0 iPads at work in our house right now. So electronics are not really a big thing, but they'll turn on YouTube, or actually they were banned from YouTube. So not that anymore either. My husband can't stand like influencer YouTube type things like Mr. Beast or even Dude Perfect. Because it's like all product placement and it drives him insane. So he banned them from YouTube. So they're banned from YouTube too. But I noticed that in that month of being banned from Casey's, when they finally got to start going again, they appreciated it a lot more. It just gets to the point where if they're given everything they want, or, they expect things like going to the drive-through or running into Casey's for like a 25-cent lollipop. It's not even something big, but they start to lose their gratefulness for it and their thankfulness for it. So anytime that we've noticed where they're becoming exceptionally ungrateful in an area, we'll kind of pull back on that for a while until they readjust their attitude when it comes to it. And they look at it as a privilege and not, I just expect this. This is guaranteed to come to me. Right. So, and that will go over into the Christmas season as well, where they are so used to just getting that they'll just, well, I get as many presents as I want, right? So give me all the presents. I want all the presents. And that spirit of ungratefulness will carry over into the holiday season. And I know it's hard as parents. We want to give them the world, right? We want to give them everything, but we have to be careful too, because that's just not how life works. Life doesn't work that way. You don't get everything you want. Even sometimes when you deserve good things, you don't get good things. Your car breaks down, or you have a bill to pay or something. It's just not real life. So tell them to be grateful for any gift given, no matter how small. And that could be, I don't know, someone knows that I like dill pickles. They give me a jar of dill pickles, or they home make me a jar. That would be even more amazing. They give me a jar of homemade pickles. I mean, I would appreciate that so much. So, and we are the example in that. Let your kids see you be thankful for things that you receive. Let them see your heart of thankfulness. Let them hear you talk about it. Obviously give God the glory for what you have, and let your kids see you giving God the glory for what you have. Well, this is because of God. God has blessed us. God gives us everything. You teach your kids how to respond to hard times, and you're going to have hard times. For me and my husband, we don't complain about money all the time. We'll say things like, oh boy, we're so broke right now, or something. But we don't hide our struggles too, because I want my girls to grow up with a sense of frugalness. I want them to know how to feed a big family on a small budget. And so for us, we don't eat out a lot. My husband and I have our one date a week. But as a family, a big family, it's kind of a special occasion when we all eat out. That's why when we do go to Peoria to see the Christmas lights, one of the things that we figure into our Christmas budget is we figure in our Peoria trip because we normally go to Chick-fil-A. We don't go to Chick-fil-A very often because for a family our size, it's about $70 to eat out at Chick-fil-A. So that's expensive. I'm here sitting in my mind thinking of how much food I can buy for $75 at Aldi, which is where I'm going after I'm done with this. So I'm thinking, okay, I could buy like this much lunch meat and, I could buy butter and, coffee and all these things, cheese. And I'm thinking of all these things I could buy for $75. So it's a big treat when we all go out. So that's also figured into the Peoria Christmas budget is the money that we're going to need for food. So it's not like we're sitting around complaining, oh my goodness, how are we going to make this bill? You don't want to create a sense of like apprehension in your children when it comes to money, because it's not their job to figure these things out. It's me and my husband and I. It's our job to figure this stuff out. So I don't want to create a sense of apprehension, but I also don't want to hide them from the struggles of real life. Real life involves budgets and bills and unexpected expenses that comes up, and they need to learn how to navigate that as they get older. So I don't hide the struggles from them. Oftentimes I'll say we're skipping groceries this week and we're going to eat up everything in the pantry and the freezer, and we're going to go to food pantry and we're going to see what kind of produce we get, and hopefully that'll kind of fill in some of the holes. And so they know that, we're not going to go to the grocery store this week. And you know what? I bet most Americans could live off of their pantry food for a week. It's not really that difficult. You cook everything from scratch. I can pull out a package of chicken breasts and rice in a box and a bag of broccoli and make a really good meal that all my kids like. So a really good filling meal. So we've never tried to hide the struggles. One thing that we've done too with our children is we've had them work for things. We don't just give them everything. We don't just give them, especially for frivolous things like Nintendo DSs, video games, different things like that. We have made them work for it and save for it. And it has really made them appreciate things more. Now, obviously for Christmas, you're not going to do that because it's Christmas time, it's Christmas gifts, but I'm talking about some of the bigger ticket items. I won't get those for them at Christmas or their birthdays. I will have them work for it. And it really creates a bigger sense of thankfulness for what they have because they worked for it. Everyone appreciates things that they work for more. And then show your kids how to get creative without buying things. And that could be, do you have a child that's artsy? Would she do a painting for someone? Could she knit something for someone? Could she make homemade slime, for someone, something that they'll like, and then get them involved in getting creative. Could she bake something? Could she make homemade ornaments, like homemade cinnamon ornaments for someone? There's a lot of things you could do. Teach your kids to look out for the needs of others, especially during the time of season. There's going to be always someone worse off than us. I've taught my kids, we are very blessed. If we have a roof over our heads and we have the heat on and we have the electricity on and we have food in our fridge, we are very, very blessed as Americans, as anyone. Teach your kids to give of their time. Does someone need help? Does someone need their house cleaned? Now, obviously, as your kids get older, this might change a little bit. My teen girls were a lot more available when they were teen girls because they didn't have jobs that were tying them down. Now they both work 40 hours a week at their daycare. So obviously their time is limited. But that doesn't mean that they don't give up their time around church, and they're not involved in ministries around the church. So church is always going to come before anything for our family. So have them give up their effort when it comes to, helping with church functions or whatever. So, and then teach them to be kind to those less fortunate than them. Oftentimes we'll go through our clothes and we'll do a big donation to like Goodwill or something. And I tell my kids, like, if we're not using this, someone else could use this. So let's help someone else out. Right. And then, teach them what's important, which I've tried to do with my children, to be grateful. Roof, food, clothing. The Bible actually says, if someone could look up the verse, it's not even like it's, I don't even think it's a shelter that it tells us to be grateful for, but having food. Let me look up the verse so I do it perfectly. And having food and raiment there, let us there be there with content. Food and raiment, it doesn't even say anything about shelter. So if we have food in our bellies and we have clothes on our back, we should be grateful. So I've used that verse often when it comes to my kids. And most people will add to that. They'll say, if we have a home, if we have food, if we have clothes, the Bible says if we have food and clothing, let us be there with content. So it means we should be satisfied and thankful with just those bare essentials, right? So and then giving them, I wanted to mention this too, because I have a lot of people, a lot of younger women that watch my show that have big families. And we have to be careful because if we believe that having a big family is a good thing, which I do, and we see our children as blessings, which I do, we see our children as gifts from God, which I do, we want to impart that onto our children. So we don't want to create a negative image in their mind of big families. And I think sometimes we have to be careful because we can do this when it comes to complaining, just complaining about things, complaining, oh my goodness, well, I would have more time to do this if I didn't have so many kids. I would have more money to do this if I didn't have so many bills, and then just kind of putting all the blame on the children. Well, they weren't the ones who chose to have all these kids. We were. So because of that, it is our responsibility, and we don't need to put that burden on our children. We also don't need to put it in their heads that having big families is a bad thing. Like it's detrimental to our freedom, which obviously it is, because we're choosing to put our children's needs above our own. But we don't need to regret that and then take it out on our kids. Heaven forbid we ever do that. Heaven forbid we ever make them feel like they're a burden and just a stone around our neck, right? A ball and chain around us or whatever. So we need to see them as blessings and make them feel like they're blessings, not make them feel like they're just these burdens that are holding us back from our best life or whatever. So, give them a good attitude about big families. Make their one day a year, their birthday, make it very special. Let them know how special they are, how glad you are that God gave them to you. Don't blame all of your problems on having a big family. And, acknowledge that it's more difficult having a big family, but it's worth it. I tell my kids often, everything good in life is hard. Everything good, having a big family is hard, but oh my goodness, the blessings totally outweigh any of the negatives about it. Having, reverencing your husband can be hard at times, but the blessings outweigh it. Loving your children can be hard at times, especially when you've had a really trying day. But the blessings of loving your children are going to outweigh anything that, that is hard to do or whatever. So I feel like oftentimes though, we have to be really careful because we can really give our kids a bad attitude about big families. And I don't want my kids growing up and be like, oh my goodness, my mom scarred me from having children. Like I had 2 kids max. Right. So I want my kids to continue on and I want them to have a big family. I want a lot of grandkids. So I want them to see kids and big families as a blessing and not this horrible burden that they have to escape or something or run away from, Okay, so lastly, let's just kind of go over some small traditions that don't cost a lot. And the funny thing about this is when I was writing this out, I called all of my kids, the ones that are home, Allie on down. I called them into my room. I'm like, okay, what are some of your favorite Christmas things that we have done? And I think it was only Kelly that mentioned anything about gifts. So the other ones mentioned everything that I wrote down. And the things that they mentioned and the things that they focused on were the things that cost barely any money. So that made me feel good as a parent that we are, passing on these traditions and these good memories without it being all about, oh, this year I got an iPhone 2000. I don't even know what number they're on. I got an iPhone 2000. I got an iPad 500. But what are your iPhone buds? I don't even know what they're called. Earbuds. I don't know. I got the iPhone earbuds. Is there a special name for it? I don't even know. So we are really lacking in electronics right now in our house because my son had gotten me an iPad before he found a girl and got married and all that good stuff. I was the main girl in his life. He had bought me an iPad for my birthday, probably in 2020 or 2021. And it honestly, it became the baby's iPad. They kind of took over it, but it broke. And so we don't have an iPad. My husband's old iPad broke. So we have 0 iPads in the house right now. We don't have um, we have no iPads. I don't think we have any working tablets right now. We used to have some tablets. I bought a small Kindle and it has 0. I wanted it where it had 0 capability of having like games and different things on it because I didn't want the babies ruining that either. So literally, all it is a Kindle and it only has books on it. That's it. So the babies are not interested in it. So we're very, very low on electronics. Electronics is not a big deal around our house. There's none of my kids are asking for iPads or tablets or anything like that, like zero of them are. So the Christmas gifts that we got, it is very like very scaled back this year. And it's not big ticket items, but we still create memorable things for my family. And one of the biggest things is just the time involved in it. One of my kids' favorite memories is when we travel for Christmas. So the week after Christmas, I go to my family's in Arkansas and they have cousins there, their age, girl cousins. And so they love it. That is like the Christmas to them, right? It's just making these memories with their grandparents there and their cousins there and their aunts and uncles. And so that is one thing that I've done the last few years. But here are some small traditions that don't cost a lot. Baking for others, baking for your kids, baking for your family. We have a sugar cookie recipe that we make every year. It makes like dozens and dozens of cookies, but I let them help me. It's a lot more messy and it takes a lot more work and when they're underfoot, but I let them help me make sure cookies, roll them out, cut them out, bake them, ice them, all that good stuff. 2 or 3 of my kids mentioned cinnamon rolls and hot chocolate on Christmas morning. And that is so easy because I literally just buy the Rhodes frozen cinnamon rolls, but they're the best cinnamon rolls. And you let them rise overnight in the fridge, and then you take them out the next morning and bake them and do hot chocolate. It's one of the things I love the most about Christmas morning. Driving to see lights. Now, this could be, we're going to see 2 rounds of lights this year. We saw one in LaSalle, Peru. Their light thing is getting bigger and bigger every year. So on Thanksgiving Day, we went and drove through that, and the babies loved it. But we always go to Peoria and it's like $10 to go drive through it's a big park that they have just Christmas lights everywhere. And so we drive through there. That same trip, we go to the mall and we walk around the mall. I do let my kids say hi to Santa and talk to Santa. My kids, both of the babies know Santa's not real. I've explained it this way because I don't want to perpetuate this lie and then have them doubt everything as they get older. Like, okay, you've told us about Jesus. Is Jesus not real too? I don't like that. So I'm very honest with my children when it comes to things like the Easter Bunny, Mickey Mouse, Santa, different things like that. So I tell them that Santa is fun to talk about and think about, just like Mickey Mouse is. That's how I explain it to my kids. So it's always been a fun thing for my kids. So I'm not also one of these people that thinks it's like evil to go let your kids see Santa or something. I try to take a balanced approach. But for me too, the babies know Christmas is about Jesus being born and about Jesus's birth. They hear the songs Away in a Manger. We talk about it, about how great it is that Jesus came to earth because then eventually he would die for our sins. So they know the real meaning of Christmas. So he is just another fun thing, just like Mickey Mouse or Minnie Mouse or any type of fictional character. And that's kind of how I portrayed him to my children. So we go to the Bass Pro Shop. They usually go up and get a free candy cane and say hi to Santa, but they'll both be like, Santa's not real. And as they're walking away. So I don't think that he's like Satan or anything like a lot of people go overboard with, but that's just me. If you think he's Satan, you are entitled to that opinion, but I don't feel that way. Ice skating is another cheap thing that you can do here in Illinois. Now, that's hilarious. Julia said, I told Zeke the tooth fairy isn't real, but Kelly told him she is, and he believed her over me. That's so funny. Um, yeah, tooth fairy is another one of those things. They haven't really asked if the tooth fairy is real yet. So we haven't really had that conversation. So I guess they still think that she is. That's so funny. I'm going to be talking about a lot of cold things that we do because it's Illinois. So if you're in Florida, I'm sorry, go find an ice skating rink inside. But here in Illinois, you can actually go to Chicago by Millennium Park and ice skate outside. So pretty cool. There's several ice skating rinks in Chicago. I don't know how much they cost. It's very minimal if they cost anything. I know old at the Navy Pier too, they have an ice skating rink. I've gone ice skating there before with my family. So that might be more if you have older kids. If you have younger kids, that's going to be kind of more of a chore than anything. But sledding's not. Sledding's free. I think we're probably going to do it again as a church. Last year, we went to a sledding hill and it was super fun. We went tubing. It was so much fun. So I think we're probably going to do that again this year. But that's a really nice, even before Christmas, to make, winter memories. That's something you can do. Making paper chains. Sometimes with my kids, I've made paper chains with like each loop is representing a day until Christmas. And then they get to take a loop off every day. Making popcorn balls. That is something I want to do this year. I want to make the popcorn balls. There was someone in our church, she used to make like popcorn balls and give them to the kids at the school every year for Christmas. And I remember as an adult, I loved eating those popcorn balls. So I want to make popcorn balls this year. Making homemade ornaments. I've done this when the kids were younger. The only thing is if you have really little kids, they smell so good, they might try eating them. And the one that I made had a ton of cinnamon in it. Cinnamon in it. There we go. Try to say that 5 times fast. It had a lot of cinnamon in it. And so they smelled so good. It smells like a cinnamon cookie. So you have to watch younger ones because I think some of them have like glue and stuff in them. So obviously you don't want them eating those. But caroling is another thing that we have done. We've gone to different nursing homes and we've gone caroling. That's free. That makes memories. You are watching out for like shut-ins and people who can't get out. They really love seeing the kids come through and carol. Gingerbread houses, that's a cheap, I think most are like $10. You can buy a gingerbread house and spend an evening putting it together, listening to Christmas carols and then drinking hot chocolate. Now, most of the stuff I'm mentioning, it does take a little bit of time on mom's part. Okay. It is going to be a little bit of work for you. But one thing that I've had to remember as I've gotten older kids is that I don't want to just say, well, I'm done. I've raised 4 kids. Like I've done doing all that stuff. No, because I still have little kids. I have a 5-year-old and a 6-year-old, and I need to make memories for them too. So I can't get lazy yet. And then when grandkids come along, I'd love to do stuff with the grandkids too. So it's too early to get lazy yet. So I still have to invest that time in my younger kids too, and give them the same memories of doing the gingerbread houses and baking the cookies and, making homemade ornaments and stringing up lights and decorating the Christmas tree and all that good stuff. So, I still have to make those memories with the younger kids because I'm not done yet. And then Christmas dinner at church, it's always a big thing that my family loves, that we like. And then we do the white elephant gift exchange. So I let them go with me and pick out gifts and things for that. Visiting family, like I mentioned, that is one of the peak Christmas traditions. The last couple of years, the 2 years before this one, my best friend lived halfway between here and Arkansas. So I would go up always the Monday after Christmas and spend 3 days with her and then drive the rest of the way to my mom's and spend 2 or 3 days with her and then drive back. Well, she moved. She's no longer a halfway point. So I'm very disappointed about that because one of my love languages is time, like quality time. And so for me, I love going and visiting my best friend and going and visiting my family. That's like my love language over gifts, over anything. So this year, I'm just going to go stay with my sister who also has my girls' age, like Allie, Lana. She has a boy, Kelly's age, but Yeah, so I'm going to go spend a few days with her, spend New Year's Eve there, spend New Year's Day there with my family. I have a brother, a sister, and my mom and stepdad who live in Arkansas. So, and that's probably actually going to be the highlight of my kids' season is getting to see because they only get to see them once or twice a year. So they're really excited about it. And then church, obviously, all the activities at church, just being here and singing the Christmas carols. And it wouldn't feel like the Christmas season if I wasn't here getting to sing all the Christmas songs and partake in the Christmas specials and all that. So, one thing that I do now, this is not on the cheaper side, actually. I will say I found some deals this year. I follow Money Saving Mom. If you want to follow her, she gives Black Friday deals. That's another thing I would recommend. Budget your money and then spend it and buy the gifts, especially if you do it all online like I do. Buy the gifts on Black Friday or shop the Cyber Monday sales because I got a lot of good deals this year. But I follow Money Saving Mom and she posts daily stuff all the time. And Old Navy had a huge sale on pajamas. So I was able to snag almost all the pajamas for pretty cheap off Old Navy. Some of them are like $5. Pajamas can be expensive. You're looking at pajama sets about $20. I don't have $20 to spend on pajama sets for each of the kids. You know, I have 10 people because I get my husband some, I get me some, and then I also get the married kids, their spouses, I get them some as well. So every year it's kind of going up, and the grandson, I got him some too. So this year, instead of 10 people, I had 12, 13 people to get pajamas for. So you do the math, that can be kind of expensive, but it's a tradition. They open them on Christmas Eve and it's just something fun that we do. And then they remember throughout the year, I got these on Christmas Eve. So pajamas is one thing that we do. And then every Christmas, this is free, reading the Christmas story. We do this. Before we open any gifts, we put all of the focus on why we're even celebrating Christmas and why we're giving gifts and just the reason behind it all. So we do read the Christmas story before we get into anything. I do stockings every year. My kids actually look forward to this. And you can get stuff for stockings for a lot of people relatively cheap if you shop deals, if you if you just watch out for specials or whatever and buy big packs of things, you can break them down and then put them in your stockings and do Dollar Tree. Also, one of my favorite things to do for the younger kids is that Walmart has these party packs of like squishies, notebooks and pens, little things that my kids, I'll buy a party pack of it and then break it apart and put it in their stockings. So that is one of the things that makes it cheaper. And then visiting shut-ins, that could be nursing homes, that could be people that come to your church but haven't been able to get out due to the snow, and then one of the things that they mentioned is you have to say watching Christmas movies with the Christmas popcorn tin. We get at least one or two of these a year. They're $6 at Walmart. It's just the popcorn tin. It's just cheap, gross popcorn, but my kids love it. So when I bring home one of those tins, they get super excited because they know we're about to sit around watching a Christmas movie and eating out of the popcorn tin. Super cheap activity, less than $10. And then, for us playing in the snow, my younger kids like this, the older ones, not so much, but the younger kids have a lot of memories of getting on their snow gear, going out there, making snowmen, playing in the snow angels, all the good stuff. We have gotten so much snow already, guys, in Illinois. It's like hammered us. I think we're going to have a white Christmas. There is so much snow out there right now. I think we got about a foot over a week ago. And then this past weekend, we got about another 4 to 6 inches. So the places that they're plowing, some places are over my head. That's how much snow we have now. So I determined a long time ago when it came to living in Illinois and in the cold, frozen tundra that I'm probably going to be here forever because my kids are getting jobs here and settling down here. And this is just where I was born and raised. And I'm sorry, I love Illinois. Even though it's got a horrible governor, I love Illinois. I love that we have 4 seasons. And I determined a long time ago, I could either be happy with my life or I could be miserable. And I choose to be happy. So I'm going to make it work. I'm going to make winter work. I'm acclimated now. The first week was tough. We had a long summer and the first week of cold, it was tough for me to acclimate, but I'm acclimated now. So part of me being happy in winter is embracing all the stuff that comes with it, embracing the snow, enjoying the snow, bundling up, wearing sweatshirts, wearing leggings, wearing long socks, wearing high boots, wearing layers. And I've just learned to make the best of it, make the best of that. So, electric blankets, that's huge. Wool socks, good boots, things like that. I've invested in just to make my life happier when it comes to living here. There's people that live in like Siberia where it's -50. All right. What are we complaining about a little 10-degree day in Illinois with a foot of snow, right? We can deal with it. Think of how our pioneer ancestors did it. We have it so easy compared to the people that came here and covered wagons to, subdue this crazy land, because we do have good farming land. So they saw the potential in it. It's just winters are tough. So I've determined that you can either enjoy your life or you can be miserable in your life, and I'm going to be happy. So I'm going to bloom where I'm planted. I'm going to enjoy life, and I'm going to make the best of every situation I'm in. And that really will trickle down to your kids. If you're a miserable person, chances are you're going to raise kids that are miserable, complain about everything, always see a problem with everything. But if you are a person who embraces all the difficulties of life and loves where you live, no matter, I could literally live here. I could live in Siberia with my husband and kids, and I would be happy. I've just determined I'm going to be happy. If I have my husband and I have my kids, that's all I need. Them and the Lord, that's all I need. So I've determined I'm going to be happy, whatever situation I'm in. But now to the giveaway. Okay. Let's see who was watching from the beginning. Okay. I said that we had to budget because we lived off of a certain amount of money, what my husband made. Does anyone remember how much money we made a year? It's a random fact. It's a random fact, but what was the amount of money we made per year? Let's see, how many have been around since the very beginning? Since the very beginning of the show. It's a random number. I'm just going to kind of wait. See whoever writes it down first. Nope, close. You're close, but no cigar. That's a little too low. That's a little too low. That's it. Yep, Sarah got it. Ding, ding, ding. 35,000. All right. You got to pay attention. That's part of it. Nope, Sarah got it. Okay. So with you, Sarah, it might still be easier to do digital, send you, and you can do Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts. 86,000, that would be a dream. No, it was not. We've never made 86,000. 18,000 is too low. We've never 86,000. We would be like millionaires living on 86,000. No, it was 35,000. I still can't believe it now. When we were first married, it was 35,000. And I know money stretched 25 years ago. Money stretched a lot more back then than it does now. But yeah, Sarah got it. So we are I can do, Dunkin' or Starbucks. And I can send it to you digitally if that's easier. But we have another question. Okay. Let's see. What was the special thing that the pastor at one of the visiting churches when we started the church, we visited a church, and the pastor did a special thing for us? I said that earlier too. Okay. So this is the last question. Basically, Julia, anything like 75 and above is a very good living, especially here, like rural country. That would be a very good living here. Anything 75 and above, I think, bumps you into the next tax bracket. So, yes, Amanda got it. Amanda got it right before Julia did. She must be typing with her nails but I got it. Yes, I got it. I'll fill in the missing. They paid for our Christmas budget. Yes, they absolutely did. And you got right in there before Julia did. So we almost had Liberty Baptist Church ladies that won both, but nope, Amanda just beat you out. So we got Amanda and we got Sarah that won the gift card. So Amanda, you need to tell me, you have Starbucks, don't you? I could do Starbucks for you too. So yeah, both of you can do Starbucks. We don't have Tim Hortons. I guess I could do that's coffee, right? I guess I could do like a Tim Hortons digital too, if you like that better than Starbucks. But you got to get, okay, I'm not even going to like recommend this to Amanda because I loved this oat milk latte thing and I told her to get it and she couldn't even drink it. She spent $5 on a drink, hated it. But right now, I wish there was a sugar-free way to get it because I'm trying to not eat sugar this season. But their sugar cookie almond milk latte is so good. Maybe you can get it with almond, maybe it's almond milk you don't like. I don't know. But their sugar cookie, I think it's sugar cookie almond milk latte. If I remember from last year when I would get them all the time. There's probably a way I can go through 7 Brew and make that sugar free because I will still drink sugar free drinks. So I ruined her trust. She won't even trust me on drink recommendations again. But if I had a Starbucks gift card, that's what I would spend it on, would be their sugar cookie almond milk latte. But yeah. So yeah, Julia, that's a lot of money if you're making, I don't know. Now remember, I'm used to like living off of a budget of like 65K and down. Okay. So anything 75K and above seems like a lot to me being on a, pastor's wife. But yeah. And then obviously anything that you would consider 6 digits, that's a very good living. Like anything 100K and above, that's a lot. That's a very, very good living. You're especially if you live here in rural country, you would be you could have a very nice house and buy all organic food if you wanted to, making that. So yeah, not all these food like I'm getting ready to go buy. But anyways, well, this was fun. Okay, so I will send you guys those gift cards and probably later tonight after I get back from my grocery store run. But this was fun. If you guys have any ideas of how you make a simple Christmas. Maybe you're more artsy and crafty than me. Maybe you make your kids stockings every year. Maybe you make them. I saw this really good idea. I think I'm going to steal from one of my friends on Facebook. She makes each of her grandkids a box with like a picture and their name on it. And then inside the box, she puts like a new movie, pair of pajamas, stuff Christmas related, but it's very special to them because then they have these keepsake boxes that are really cute with like their name written on it. That is such a good idea. I think I'm going to start doing that next year for my grandkids. This year, it's not as big as of a deal because T4 is only 3 months old right now. So he'll be 4 months old at Christmas. So, but I think starting next year, I'm going to start making each of my grandkids a cute little box like that. So anyways, yeah. So, it was fun. Thanks for joining and thanks for participating in the giveaway, and congratulations to all the ones who won. And so sorry for the ones that tried. I always like to do some kind of Christmas giveaway. So, a couple gift cards to use while you're out and about doing those Christmas traditions. So go home and love your husbands well, love your kids well, love the Lord, and we will see you guys next week.